maltais. Batters, s'il vous plaît.
Thank you. Minister Morneau, for months, Canadians have been perplexed at how Prime Minister Trudeau and you, as Finance Minister, could even propose these draconian tax changes that you set forth in July. Reports indicate that the same unfair tax changes were twice proposed by finance bureaucrats to Conservative Finance Minister Jim Flaherty, and he turned them down flat. Yet you had a much more receptive year. Your July discussion paper contained some measures which were very quickly shown by accountants to be completely unreasonable. And two glaring examples were, number one, intergenerational transfers, where a farmer or small business owner would pay a 45% tax rate to transfer their legacy farm or business to their own children, yet only 25% for selling it to a stranger. And number two, making the massive passive investment changes retroactive to July 2017 when your proposals were released. So after much pressure was brought to bear on you and your government by the Conservative opposition and Canadians across the country, you'd now say you're backing down on those two unreasonable measures. But you climbed down only after you forced farmers and small business owners across Canada to endure 3 months of considerable stress, worry, and anguish about their very livelihoods, and during harvest, no less. So you, your finance officials, and your government should have realized that those two measures in particular were completely unreasonable right off the bat, before they were even proposed. So Minister Morneau, who takes responsibility and who bears accountability for even including those measures in the first place? You, your finance officials, the Prime Minister. If those proposals came from your department, who will lose their jobs for that?
We will continue to move forward with approaches that we will ensure their tax system is fair. We believe that Canadians elected us to make sure that we could grow the economy and ensure that the benefits of that growth were not going disproportionately to those that are already advantaged. We were quite clear when we ran for office. We didn't disguise anything. We said that we would raise taxes on the top 1% so that we could lower them on the middle class. We said that we would take the Canada Child Benefit, which was going to families like mine, and we would instead means test it so we could actually send more money to families that were in a greater challenge of moving forward to successfully raise their children. We identified the fact that we saw advantages in privately incorporating and that we wanted to deal with those advantages, and by dealing with those advantages, it would also give us the opportunity to lower small business tax rates. So we believe that following through on commitments is exactly what Canadians would expect of us. The fact that we move forward with a consultation process in order to get to an outcome that will allow us to get at the goals while recognizing that we don't want to have unintended consequences, we think is what a democracy is all about. If your question is that we should have instead just announced measures and not had a consultation, we don't agree with that approach. We decided, I think appropriately, that hearing from Canadians was the right way to go. And it's got us to a situation where we're going to, as I said, achieve the goals of having a fairer tax system and allow us to encourage small businesses to continue to invest, to create jobs, and to grow our economy.
Minister, my question actually was on those two particular measures, the intergenerational transfer, significant difference between 45% to your own kids or 25% to a stranger, and the retroactivity of the application to the passive investment changes back to when you proposed those particular changes in July. Who takes responsibility for that? Because those are two things that I think everybody would concede now that they were completely unreasonable.
Certainly we don't see the world the way that you're suggesting. We've moved forward with proposals that we think will have a positive impact. We know that in getting at changes to our tax code that people will have strongly held points of view, and that's the way it should be. And getting to the appropriate conclusion requires us to listen. That's what we did. So we're now at a stage where we're keen to hear what the Senate has to say, and we're keen to hear what you will have to say once we put our actual proposals into proposed legislation. that allow us to move forward appropriately.